Mm,
Because I always squish my window down so we're stacked so I can look like I'm looking at you.
I love that. Hello, everyone, and
Hello.
welcome to Live on Facebook with Authenticity. I'm Anna Toothman, and my beloved guest is our sister, Linda Christine. Welcome to
Thank
the
you.
show.
Oh, I'm so
Um,
excited to be here, and I'm so honored that you would allow me to be a part of this beautiful, expansive endeavor that you've created here. Authenticity is one of my most favorite things.
mhm. I am honored. I'm truly honored, Linda. We manifested this a few months ago. I put you in my calendar, and I could have started reading your book as soon as I received it. You mailed it to me. You were
Yeah,
going to send me a copy. You did send me a copy via email, but you knew we had 2 months and that it had plenty of time. We had plenty of time for me to read it.
yes.
And that you felt that I was authentic enough when I had a different brother on the show who is also an author like yourself. And I had read his book. And you reached out and said, I would love to be on your show. And I was honored and grateful that you witnessed that authenticity within me. For
Absolutely.
as you know, Linda, when we do that, then it's a reflection of our own authenticity. So that's
And
a
I believe
beautiful
there's
thing.
nowhere else we can go anymore. I believe that if you're not living authentically, it's going to be like a big flashing beacon to everybody that's awake around you.
This is so true. I wanted to pop up on your page because you're an author, you're a podcaster. I can do this remembering. You used to work in the TV business,
Yes, I did.
and I found so many similarities in your book with my journey. I wasn't in the TV business, but I was in the restaurant business and I was in management. And the reason I got out was for the same reasons you express in your book. And I don't want to give your book away because I really, really want people to get this book. Everyone in our lives, your book is called Finding Zen with Cancer. #1 bestseller on Amazon. Yay for you. Congratulations, Linda.
Thank you. I really wanted that, and I'm glad it happened, but it was just a small part of what really matters to me about the book. It's the stories that are touching people's lives who are reading the book and on their own cancer journeys. Um, that's that's the best seller to me right there. That is the pinnacle of all of it.
I lost a dear friend last November, same month as my birth month, to colon cancer.
Mm,
On her last month, believe it or not, she had a celebration of life ceremony while she was alive.
that's beautiful.
Yeah. And so we were able to get together and share some last memories of dancing, food, drinks, laughter, and hugs and tears. It all came. I feel that this book, there's so many parts of this book that, wow, Linda, geez, I don't even know what to start. First of all, the aha moments you're having throughout your writing this book about finding meaning for all of it. how
I
cancer is a gift in itself and that you saw it that way, but you couldn't believe that it was. And I'm just going to let you speak for a little while because I'm just like,
no, your story of your friend really touched a chord with me. Let's see if I can get through this without getting too emotional. Um, I uh, have a very close friend, even though she's passed on, I still feel her with me, who died of colon rectal cancer before I was even diagnosed. And I just remember talking with her on the phone, and every time we would speak, it was very important for me to distract her, not talk. I'd check in, how are you doing? Let her say what she was going through at the time. And then I would share funny stories about my kids. I would share anecdotes about my day. I would share plans that I would have for us when she got better. And that celebration of life sounds so beautiful. She had married someone who was not familiar with me, so I found out of her passing a couple months after she had passed, when I had sent her a letter, and her husband happened to be checking and was like, "Oh, wow, I didn't know you didn't know that she was gone." And the fact that you were able to have that celebration with your friend while she was still present, although she knew her transition was coming. Wow, what a beautiful gift. What a beautiful gift. So I just needed to share that because
is
a
this
lot
your
of
friend
people aren't
Lee?
afforded that opportunity.
Is this your friend Lee that you speak about in your book?
No, Lee was actually, this is someone that when I first started in the TV business, she and I
Uh,
started at the same TV station in Colorado, and it was like our coming of age era. All of us that worked there, we were all very young. It was a very small market, and we all kind of worked our way through the ranks, and everybody had their hands in everything, and it was a very creative and fun-loving and wonderful environment. And she was my bridesmaid at my first wedding, and she and I had stayed very, very close, even though we were separated. I was in Michigan when she passed, and she was in Colorado, and she had started a new life there. But my friend Lee, that I talk about in the book, came through this beautiful organization called Emmerman Angels. Now, when I was
that's right.
first um, diagnosed, I was in shock. I wasn't awake as I am now. And we're always waking up more and more every day to so many things. Um, so I needed some sort of guidance. I didn't know what to do. I had nobody to talk to. I had no idea what was in store for me. And a friend of mine actually said, "Hey, check this group out." A friend of theirs had gone and connected with them when they were going through cancer. So I did, and she was such a perfect match for me. She had the exact same cancer, exact same stage. She had three
Mhm.
kids, has three kids like I do. And we're still in contact today. It was a beautiful relationship. When I'd be up at 3 in the morning with some
I can
sort of
see.
ailment or
Yeah.
something, I'd send her an email. And as soon as she got up in the morning, she'd respond to me, and she just intuitively knew exactly what to say and what kind of guidance to offer.
May I read something from your book?
Yes, please.
I saved it with a piece of because I have so many bookmarks with some greenery. I was reading this outside yesterday. Knowing what I know now, if I were to go back and do it all over again, I would first examine my own state of being, mentally, physically, and spiritually. I would closely examine all the things in my life that may contribute to my disease. On all three of those levels, there is a reason this is called a disease. It is creating dis-ease in your body. I'm getting all choked up reading. Do you want to talk about that? Some of your important, more inner knowing and understanding and clarity that came through this experience.
I really felt, looking back now, I can say this with absolute certainty. When I was going through this in 2013, I was being divinely led, whether that be the higher self, angels, what have you. Something was guiding me into a place of coming to a deeper awareness about how I was living my life. And as time goes on, our vision becomes clearer. Hindsight, true. I say it in the book so much. Hindsight is so 2020. I can look back on situations, and as I was going through treatment, I did standard treatment back then. I had chemotherapy every 2 weeks, and I was supposed to make it to 12 rounds. I think I made it to only nine or 10. And I saw friendships dropping away. I saw other friendships that were I deemed as somewhat insignificant. These people would step forward with so much grace and so much love for me. I just saw things shift around me. I saw the toxicity of my work environment. I saw how destructive that was to my heart, my soul. And I knew that reflected in my physical being. How could it not? So it was very important for me to start down that path of clearing out what was no longer serving me and learning what would serve my mind, body, and spirit authentically and help me grow as a human being. Because a situation like this, I believe, is designed to shake you up, to bring you into some sort of place of deeper awareness, deeper understanding of yourself. So that's where I felt it was all going at the time. Could I have verbalized that back in 2013? I doubt that. But I knew, because part of the book is written as my blog from 2013, and then I go into my reflections now 10 years later. It's now 11 years this year, of how I've shifted even within that growth period of the year of cancer to 10 years later. What does that mean to me as a person? How are these things affecting me now? What kind of awareness did they bring forward to me in those 10 years and the growth that I've had over that time?
It's really reflective in your book as well. I love the style that you chose to use your blogs and your journaling to create your book, and then again going into your reflections, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. Even the what you called TMI on there made me smile. Even though, you know, I couldn't imagine, I've never been shoes. Yeah. But we've all been in places in our lives where we should probably stay closer to the restroom and to
Yeah.
live that. I at moments reading your book, I was having not visceral experiences because you can never experience what you haven't experienced. I haven't walked in your shoes. It wasn't my journey, my soul's journey to walk this path with cancer. It was yours that your soul chose as a path for you to experience enlightenment.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and I felt it very important. Anna's touching on some very, I can look back on them now and think they're funny experiences, but there were a lot of physical side effects that go along with the toxic cocktail that they give you called chemotherapy. And just learning what you can and cannot consume, because your body is just so burdened during that time with everything that's being fed into it. So I felt it was very important to be very straightforward and honest about that, because it's not just, oh, la-di-da, go to the clinic, get plugged in, get your pump to take home, go home and just rest and watch soap operas or whatever all day. It's pretty ugly and it's pretty nasty, but you know, that's all part of the journey too. I think when you're exposed to all of that, it really makes you understand, one, that life is so precious, and it really, truly, the present is a gift. You're not promised anything else other than what you have at this now moment. And overcoming the struggles, physical struggles, and the ugliness is somewhat empowering. It makes you feel like, okay, I am strong enough. I still have enough strength left in this physical body that I can push through and muster through this and not take myself so seriously too. Because to me, approaching things with a lighthearted attitude, some sarcasm, some sass, that's kind of how I overcome.
Well, I feel like I know you a little bit more, Linda, because we first connected on Soology Network. And I actually interviewed you with Todd, you know, to do some of his marketing for the Soology fest that he was doing at the end of last year. And it just, you know, this book has opened so much more. I feel like I should leave my light on. I'm trying to find another spot in your book that I want to talk about. Let's see. But I got to turn the light on because I can't see. um, let's see. You say, if I can encourage a cancer patient to do one thing, it is to ask for help. Wow, wow, wow,
Ooh,
wow,
that one
wow.
still hits hard. That
Yeah,
still hits hard, I would bet.
yeah. It
Oh,
gives me
that's Lee.
goosebumps.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I think for many of us, that's a challenge in our lives, period. You know, whether you're going through cancer or not, is asking for help. Um, we all like to think we're strong enough and we can persevere and I got this, I can do this.
Yeah.
But wow, when people genuinely want to help their fellow man, um, anybody that I know that's ever struggled, I help. I want to help. I ask if I can help. I sometimes push my way through the door to help. Uh, and isn't that what we're here for? I mean, we're here in these little silo bodies, meat suits, what have you, but we're also here to make these connections with people and put our hand out, extend our love, our assistance whenever we can. When I was able to do that on my journey, I was floored. I was floored at the amount of people that raised their hand and said, I want to help. Because a lot of times in situations like this, it's awkward. I just had my daughter say this to me the other day. There's a friend of hers that is going through treatment for breast cancer. And she's like, I don't know what to do. What do I do? She lives pretty far from me and she's got her own family to take care of. And so does the woman going through breast cancer. And she's like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, do anything, just do something. Because if it just means putting a card in the mail or going to visit in the hospital or bringing a meal or even giving a gift card to another family member to buy a meal for the household that night, picking up the phone, making a phone call. Like I said about my friend who has crossed over, just sharing your anecdotal things about the day, some funny things that happened to you, something to help ease their
Yeah.
mind, get their mind off of their own burden that they're dealing with.
It's also really important. You also mentioned in the book, Linda, that some of it pissed you off. It was the don't feel sorry for me. I don't want people to feel sorry for me. Just that part of it that you talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole, you can feel the pity when it's coming through. You can feel the kind of like, oh, it's like, stop that. I don't want that. I'm still me. I'm still the same person you knew before. I'm just a little bit slower, a little bit weaker, but I'm still that same person. So, yeah, definitely don't extend any pity because and
Yeah.
I've truly come to believe this, and it's not everybody's belief. I totally get that, but this was my journey. This is what I signed up for. This is like, okay, I want to experience X, Y, and Z, and this is how it's going to go down. And, if I can get to the other side of this, I'm going to wake my ass up and, start becoming the person that I'm meant to be on this planet. So I truly believe that it's all part of a divine plan.
It really is. The further we go on our journey, the more we realize how it's all part of the divine plan, and that you can
Absolutely.
laugh at yourself and look back at some. That's why I think it's written brilliantly on some of these blog posts, because you're just being real. Like, when I
Yeah.
said it pissed you off, but yet you understood that they meant well, or like we're just reflecting on some of the emotions that you were in.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was gratitude, there was anger, there was pity, there was all kinds of things in this book.
And, a journey such as that is an emotional roller coaster because from one minute to the next, you're feeling so many things. I'd have pity parties that that I thought would pick up the phone or stop by to visit were silent and weren't there. But again, it's all part of the plan. Those people needed to work their way out of my life
Sure.
because they weren't good for me. They weren't a match energetically, frequency wise. Like the job was not a match for me. I can't remember if I put this in the book or not, but there was a time where I went back to my job for a
You
short period
did.
of time. Yeah, and I
Mhm.
knew I
You
wasn't
put
going to
it in
be
the
there
book.
long, and I left the business. but in the, there was a little bit of me that saw a job that was again in the same type of business. And I'm like, ooh, but I should go for that job.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, spirit tricked me, had me follow the breadcrumbs for a while. And then the 11th hour that fell through. And I knew, yeah, I know where I'm supposed to be. Why am I doing this? It was hard to give up. It was hard to say no more.
Yeah, death to the old self.
Yeah. Yeah. It really
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, death and rebirth. When we speak about that, rebirthing, and we talk about this in spirituality all the time in our circles of death and rebirth. And that definitely, you follow that in your book. You also talk about your father. There's a love story in here between you and your husband. You talk about your relationship with your father. You
Who
talk
died of
about the
colon
key.
cancer. Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about the gift of walking in your church, which is nature, how much you love your walks. And that's where you get your channeled information, right? And you talk about in your book something that I find beautiful is that you had this realization that we all channel what we call thoughts, and some of them are just divine. There's less interference. So it's a clear, you realize you're having a clear connection, and you find this connection in nature.
Absolutely. And I believe trees do serve as antenna to the divine and
Mhm.
pull in that information. But I always think it's kind of funny when people think channeling is so woo-woo. And it's like, have you ever heard a musician pick up a guitar and just play? And you can see they're not even in their body. They're pulling through something more powerful than them, or you read a beautiful piece of prose and it's like it just touches your soul. And I believe all those types of things are channeled.
Right. There we hear words like they're in the zone, right?
Yes.
They're in the zone. It's that zone that you can live from, which is our natural state, that we come to realize more and more when we see through the veil. And then one day the veil completely drops, and you have your clear vision on, and you can see, because now the heart and mind are working as one. And, and you realize that the gift of life and what it was all for, right? When we hear things like, Earth School or lessons, there's a part of our journey that you get this inner understanding of how it all works, that the soul was giving you some lessons so that when you move forward in wisdom, you're coming from your heart, that your intentions, your thoughts, your actions are coming from this space versus here to action, that we're now creating from a place from here. Is this going to benefit the whole? Will this benefit me? Am I being a people pleaser? Am I saying yes because I don't want to hurt her feelings or his feelings, or am I being controlling? All these things you realized through your journey with this book. I'm trying to, it's kind of wonky with the
Yeah.
background, but
There you
thank you. It disappears. It's really lovely, Linda.
Thank you.
I also want to touch base on your website, and I want to talk about your podcast as well and what you're providing, your service work now. Now that we're on the other side, what's going on?
Yeah. So I left TV and I got into photography, which I just love so much. I love anything creative, writing, art, all of that. So a lot of my offerings are things like I had the dragons come through for me a couple years ago,
Mhm.
and I do soul dragon readings that you get a reading from your dragon, and then you get a piece of artwork of your dragon, which was a beautiful gift um, that came through that was very unexpected for me. I do oracle cards. I just did my second deck, the Cosmic
Ooh.
Squash.
Ah,
Yeah, these are fun. I am a Sasquatch girl from way back, so this was exciting for me to do
did you
this
create
because
those?
yes, I did. I did. They 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 were channeled. I mean, they
And
just
where can
came
you purchase
through.
these?
I am looking right now into doing a very large bulk order. It's going to be very expensive, but that's the only way I can offer the deck for a very reasonable price. My first deck, um, Soul Script deck, there's only a couple left and they're down at a store in St. Pete. I had to sell these for what I felt was a little bit spendy for Oracle cards. I'm not Hay House. I'm not a big publisher. So doing this on my own requires a big outlay. So I want to make sure that I can do that so people can get these at a reasonable price. So that should be happening in the next month. I should have my finances lined up to be able to do that. And then they can buy them through my website for sure. And I'll post on social media and let everybody know when that happens. I do all
That's
sorts
pretty
of,
exciting.
it is
That's
very
pretty
exciting because I want to go to conventions too and put these out
exciting.
there. Because
Oh,
there's a Sasquatch conference, I think, in St. Pete in July, but I'm not going to be ready by then.
oh,
But
darn it.
they're all over the place. So I want to go to a few of those as well and see about getting a little booth set up. But that's my newest endeavor,
Oh,
creative
Linda.
wise. Yeah,
And are you
yeah.
still doing your daily readings on Facebook Live?
I took a break when we went on vacation. I wasn't going to be around for a while, and I'm stepping back a little bit from social media this month.
I think we all
I'm
are.
just feeling very
Mhm.
unengaged with it
Yeah,
at the moment. So I
yeah.
don't know. I will come back at some point, but I don't know when. I
I've
need
learned if you
to,
come in and pop in, do it, you look, have an intention behind everything that we do.
yeah.
So for me, like I'll come on, post something or look for a certain thing that I'm looking for, and then I jump off so that I'm not
Yeah,
stuck. Just,
that's
like
the
catch
worst.
yourself. Yes,
That's
you
the
catch
worst.
yourself and you're like,
Yes.
oh, I could be
Yeah.
doing something right now.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I'm taking my focus to other areas. Like if a piece of writing comes through for me on a subject matter that I feel might really resonate for a lot of people, I'll put a piece of writing up. But even that's kind of slowed down for me. So I don't know. I think I'm feeling intuitively that I just need to be quiet for a bit, just sit with myself for a bit, and but I'll come back on. And yeah, try to avoid getting stuck into the endless scroll.
Yes, and doing an expansion, like expanding when we take a little break and this pause that you're taking, that many of us do throughout our journey, it helps us not stay in a loop.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're doing the same thing and then we're back into this loop and then there's no growth. So we pause and we
Mm,
reflect and see where else can we take this that I've created. We take what we've created and then we evolve it.
yeah. Yeah, it's such a good point because usually when these things happen, they do happen for reasons such as you just said.
Yeah.
Something else is bubbling up, coming through that's going to be a little bit different than it was before. That's kind of where I ended up with the podcast too, a conversation for the soul. is still there. I just haven't been pursuing it. I got to a space where probably around March, I had people canceling on me. I had people saying no to me about being guests. And I'm like, okay, I need to step away from this for a while because I told myself when this stops being fun, it's no more. It's still fun for me, but I don't feel like it should be work to get guests on the show. Because for 2 years, it was like, hey, you open to this? Yeah, I'm open to it. And then it would just, the synergy was there. The synergy just stopped. And I'm like, okay, I'm being guided to step away for a bit. And then this thing with my friend Millie came forward, our oh my gosh, how am I blanking on the name of my it's a new podcast, so forgive me, please.
Oh, do it all the
Conscious um Consciousness Chronicles.
time.
And
On
she and
YouTube.
I we just are regular gals having a conversation about whatever comes up. We pull from we have this little jar that we pull from every week and just see what subject comes through and just talk about it from a spiritual and non-spiritual perspective. Because I feel like sometimes on this journey, we can get so wrapped up in being in this spiritual mode that we forget we're still humans here, living a life, having experiences, going out to dinner, having drinks with friends, going on vacations, doing normal human things. That's also part of the experience. It's not just meditation 24/7. All these places we go, we're touching other souls, we're having interactions. I think we're meant to be doing all these things. This is how we connect our light with one another.
This is a really important topic, and I'm really glad that you brought it up, Linda. Thank you. Balance. Let's take balance right now, and we think about the journey of enlightenment and spirituality is just that. It's to bring you to a place of enlightenment so that you may step forth in your human experience with your heart and mind intact. So once you allow this clear connection again with Source, and you've taken away, unplugged all the crap, right? Rewired your brain. Your heart is on, your light is on. Now you're living your heaven on earth, right? And then you're not stuck. So people go too far this way or we go this way. So we want to bring it all back to center. Check in with yourself all the time. Am I being authentic? Am I living from my truth? Because that is all enlightenment is showing you. That being on earth is a gift, like you explained in your book. Being a human, enlightened being, because this is a spiritual, okay, I wanted to say this. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? We know
Yeah.
that when we transition, that's all it is. It's not death of Linda or Anna. It is just a transition into another experience. Not everybody knows that, but that's okay. But from my perspective and my knowing, that's how I perceive it. And it's okay if you don't agree with me because it is your heaven on earth, whatever you perceive and believe.
And it's so much fun to play
Yes.
in both those realms. You
Yes.
can set an intention for the day going, I want a message from spirit. I want to see how it comes through today. And you may get the cashier at the grocery store saying something profound to you that really hits home at that moment.
Exactly.
Or you could just be out having a lovely drink with a friend and another friend shows up and uh, whatever you say to them could shift them into a more positive state of being or awareness. I mean, there's a lot of magic to be had. So you don't want to miss out on all of it.
Of course. And that's the gift, is the present, right? The gifts that you get from,
Yes.
like you said, talking to the person at the grocery store. I was talking to a dear friend, Linda, the other day. I don't know if Sarah's still watching, but we have these conversations like you have with your Chronicle show with your friend. You have these topics and you have aha moments through conversation. And you realize that I explain to people, you get to a certain point in your life, you enjoy who you are so much that you don't desire. It's not that I don't drink any longer, and it's because I enjoy my state of being now more than I did with an altered state. Perhaps the way a glass of wine made me feel, too many glasses of wine made me feel, or too many glasses of anything, or too much food or anything, is that you learn again that once you get to this place where you love thyself so truly that there is no other greater joy. And it's not that you're not supposed to enjoy the fruits that the earth provides for you. Is this why are you having it? Is it to block something? Is it to numb you? Is it there to
Mm,
hide your emotion? Are you angry? Is this a relief for you?
yeah.
When we use substances to change our reality, then those are the reasons and why we go within. We check in with ourselves and we pause and we ask, okay, what am I not seeing in this now moment about myself?
Yeah. I know full and well when I do that. I have a limit and sometimes I go over that limit and I know why I'm doing it and I don't beat myself up the next day. I just go, okay, time to look at that. Why did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
What were you really avoiding? Let's tap into that and then let's dig a little deeper and see how we can begin the process of peeling back the onion and healing that, whatever it is, big or
And
small.
yeah, and it doesn't really matter what it is. It could be a conversation in the way that we allowed someone to make us angry,
Mm, yep.
right? A trigger. If we could just change the drink to a trigger, it's all the same thing. Just brings you back
Yep.
to yourself, to ask yourself, what was it in that moment that upset me? And you talk about in
Absolutely.
your book about, that it wasn't because of colon cancer that you stopped dyeing your hair. You go into this, how much it costs, and you give kind of an outline of how much women spend on our hair and getting, all this, and how you don't wear that much makeup, and that you go into all this. I don't, I'm saying too much already. I too quit dyeing my hair. And I had this lady friend say, it was a rite of passage for her. And for me, it was, I got tired of dyeing it every 4 weeks, or
Yeah.
trying to hide it with sprays and powders. And what was your reason? I don't remember exactly. I think it was just,
Well, in the book, it was because I was losing my hair.
mm,
It was getting so thin and coming out. I couldn't do anything with it at the time. I believe I went back
oh,
to
it was
dyeing it
2020.
for a while, but 2020 shifted
Yeah.
me out of it. I'm like, okay, I'm done. This is my endpoint. I can't go anywhere to do it, so I'm going to be done with it. And you know how beautiful it is now when I walk around and I see women our age and they're all doing this. They're just letting their hair go natural. It just feels so beautiful and authentic. I just love it. I just love it. It
I
feels
just
really good.
It feels amazing. I don't know. I had like a weight lifted off my shoulder. It was one of those other
Yeah.
layers of, it's like that feeling when you take your bra off, you know?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
It's that feeling
absolutely.
of like, "Oh, finally, hallelujah," you know? And I don't know
Yeah.
how to explain it, and here, I wanna say there's nothing wrong with dyeing your hair. This is
No,
not a
absolutely
statement.
not.
This is not a statement. What it is a choice, meaning when you're young, you go dye your hair, you're doing it because
It makes you
you
feel
want
good.
makes you feel good and you wanna try a new color. But you don't have to go to the salon every 4 weeks. You can actually go years before you go, "Oh, I wanna try some highlights now." Right, it grows out cooler, you know, it's not that big of a transition, you don't have the demarcations as dramatic as you do when you are going gray or white or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And so in our youth, we have this freedom of doing it whenever we have money or whenever we feel like it, right? And we get older, we're then doing it to hide something.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good point. Very good point.
And I remember thinking, I am not hiding from nothing or anyone anymore. I am going to be me.
Yeah.
And that's
And
empowering.
there's beauty that comes with that. It's a whole, it really is a beauty unlike any other because it is so real. It is who you really are. And to me, that's just stunning in women. Men for years have let their hair go salt and pepper, and it's very handsome. Well, now I think the world's actually shifted to where we can be like this, and people don't think twice about it now. There's probably still a few people that, oh, why are you doing that? It makes you look older. It's like, well, guess what? I'm older. And every wrinkle and every scar is a beautiful story of what my human has been through. And every one of these gray hairs is a beautiful story too. So that's my 2 cents.
I don't know why I got started on that, but oh yeah, because you talk about it in your book.
Yeah, yeah,
It's kind of fun, the wisdom that we get with being having lived a little while longer
yeah,
than when we were in our 20s and 30s. It was a beautiful time, and I'm not taking away from being youthful because I wouldn't. I would like to stay 35. I'm fine with that. In
well, in my
appearance,
mind, I'm 35.
exactly.
I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess that's my avatar now, but I'm still 35 in my mind. I'm still having a good time. So let's hope the avatar holds up a while longer.
I believe that it's going to. Linda,
Yeah.
tell us about the owl and the crone.com.
Theowlandthecrone.com is my website. That is another part of stepping into the beautiful aging wisdom that we all get. The crone is not the shriveled up old hag that we envision standing in the forest. She's actually a beautiful, strong, empowered woman that has seen many of life's challenges and has learned from that and has now accumulated all that wisdom to share with others. So, hence the owl and the crone. I picked the owl because many times I go out in the woods and I do my readings for clients and I pull through whatever energy is being shared from them. And there was a period of time that inevitably at the end of every session, I would stop speaking into my phone. I'd wrap up the reading and I would hear an owl echoing through the forest. And
Oh,
so that became my partner on this journey, hence the owl and the crone.
how beautiful.
Yes.
I know we're at the end of our podcast. We have about 10 minutes. I wanted to do something on my show that is a little different. You know how people come to readings and then the author gets to read from their book?
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you would do us the honor and read something from your book so we may get a sense of it
Ooh,
together.
absolutely. Um, Do you have a certain section in mind that you think that would be good to share,
I
or?
want what's calling to you right now that you want the audience to hear about
Well, let's
Linda's
just do
journey.
this because I like my little rando things. Okay, this is a blog post from 2013. I was rounding the corner of chemo number 11. As I round the corner of chemo number 11 on October 7th, I start pondering my recovery. I wish the day after my last treatment that everything in my body will magically revert back to its old self, minus the cancer, of course. Unfortunately, it will be months until I am feeling like a non-chemo laden, positive post-cancer gal. The nasty chemo has done a number on my body. Now I know everybody has different reactions to chemotherapy, as different cancers call for different types of chemo drugs. What I am sharing today is my reactions to chemo treatments for colon cancer and how it affects me. You and your loved ones' side effects may or may not be similar. I'll start with my feet and hands. One side effect that I had only one time was my feet swelling up as big old sausages. The left foot was worse than the right. The doctor prescribed something and it went down in about 3 days. The bigger issue with my feet, though, is numbness, which also affects my fingers. The problem has been getting worse with each treatment, so much so that on treatment number 10, the oncologist reduced my 5FU by 25%. Sorry to say that didn't help, and the numbness is only increasing. This side effect can last for months or years or even be permanent after chemo. It's one that the doctors try to monitor very closely. God forbid I lose more feeling. It's hard for me to be on my feet for too long when they are numb. And just typing this right now is awkward as I am continually missing keys and having a pins and needles sensation in my fingers. Knees, weight, eating habits. My knees are puffed up and look like old lady knees. Actually, my whole body is puffed up to the tune of 20 pounds, thanks to the steroids and the chemo drugs. Finding food that agrees with your digestive system during chemo is not easy. I learned that the hard way. I spent days chained to the toilet, that I could only eat salads, fruits, and veggies, or consume too much coffee on certain days of treatment. My diet primarily consists of carbs. Ugh. Easy to pack on 20 pounds with that diet. Drinking fluids is super important too. I learned that the hard way by getting dehydrated a few times. Gatorade is now a regular part of my day. Hair loss. It's one of the worst, in my opinion. I have always struggled with my crazy curly hair until a couple of years ago when I found out about keratin treatments. Since then, I love my hair only to lose it with chemo. Okay, I didn't lose it all, but there are big patches of baldness all over my head and my hair is very thin and wiry. And then I go on to talk about my skin and my joints and my bowels and my fingernails and teeth and other orifices of my body and my brain and sleep. And looking back on it 10 years later, I'll say it again. Chemotherapy is poison. Look at it like a hero going off to war. That soldier will likely take down, kill, or attempt to take down many enemies. That soldier will also unwittingly take down many civilian lives in the process. Chemo will likely kill the enemy cancer cells, but it will also affect the healthy areas of your body that you depend on. Knowing what I know now, if I were to go back and do it all over again, I would first examine my own state of being mentally, physically, and spiritually. I would closely examine all the things in my life that may contribute to my disease on all three levels. There's a reason it's called disease. It's creating dis-ease in your body. I have come to believe over the years that our environment and stress we carry is the biggest contributor to our dis-ease. and our well-being. Many of you will not subscribe to this statement. You may take a victim stance, but what if I was to tell you that I once believed I was a victim too? I held the belief that I was not in control of my own life, that random horrible things were cast upon me. I now see that my victimhood was merely a story that I tried to justify my poor decisions that I made in my life. I would try and justify why I ate fast food. I was so busy and too important to take time to cook healthy. I subscribed to the Western medical ideology that was designed to keep me dependent on pills rather than show me how to heal myself. I told myself a story that others negatively stormed over me like a hurricane, infecting me with discourse and created my disease, when in reality, I was one fueling my own storm. You are the best judge of what treatment you are willing to put in your mind, body, and soul, though. It should never be a rushed decision. It should be completely your decision, not your partner's, not your children's, not your parents'. It should be yours. Weigh all the information, and then tap into your inner knowing. Talk to your soul. Ask God and your angels for advice. You are not alone on this journey. However, the decision of where this journey takes you is yours 100%.
Thank you so much.
And how ironic that it was the same, I should say serendipitous, that it was the one that you noted earlier.
It just synchronicity, right? As we were
Yeah.
speaking about earlier in the show, Linda. Everyone I know, and I'm sure many listening and those who will catch the replay, know someone who is either going through cancer, has survived cancer, or has passed or transitioned from cancer.
Yeah.
You can find this book on Amazon. I'm going to gift this to my ex-mother-in-law who survived colon cancer in her 40s. This was about, I'm sure it's going on 25, 30 years ago. Things have come a long way since then. So the chemo almost killed her. My ex-husband had thoughts of, am I going to pull the plug kind of situation. It was that severe. And this show was going to affect him. You know, he was growing from me reading this book and talking to him about this. He wanted his mom to listen to the show or ask me if I would give her or gift her this book. So if this is calling to anyone listening or watching the show, gift them this book. It's a real gift, Linda, that you've written this for all others to assist them in their journey of not feeling alone, as you speak about in your book about loneliness.
Yes. Thank you, Anna.
You're welcome.
And gifting that to your ex-mother-in-law is perfect. Perfect.
Yes.
That's what I'd like to see everybody do, you know, read it, take away what resonates for you, and then pass it along to someone else.
I love you. I thank you. I'm honored.
Too, sister.
I had such a great time. Everybody, check out Linda's website. Check out her book. Tell people about her book and her beautiful oracle cards that she's co-creating right now.
Thank you
keep
so
creating.
much,
You bet. I look forward to keeping tabs on you or checking in on you. You check in, okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It was an honor to be here with everybody today.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Stay blessed. Bye-bye.